always a problem when it comes to not being supportive for my boyfriend Matthew. Why I can't get along with his brother, Glenn. That shouldn't be an issue, just because he spends more time with Glenn than with me on the phone. I shouldn't get, and I was kind of way too tad jealous over the lunch thing with Glenn. I can be glad that he's getting out of the house. But I shouldn't get mad over the lunch thing with Glenn. I can at least be happy for it. Be happy for him that he spent more time with Glenn when he's staying at home and getting stuck in the house all the time. So he's stuck in his room all day long. That's true. And I know he's stuck, gets locked up in his room, playing with his Alexa. And watching TV. He needs to get out of the house more often. That's true. And I think I know why he spends more time with Glenn, because with his brother Glenn. That's because it's sort of like it's a brother kind of thing. He doesn't see his brother that often anymore. He only gets to see him only when he comes over for a couple of hours. And he only comes to visit. And, well, he does have a point there. He only stays for a couple of hours and then he goes home. So I should not complain about that. That's true. But I could at least try to be supportive that he spend more time with Matthew at his house and all that stuff, and spend time with Maddie and the rest of the family. By the way, I should not complain because he spends time with Glenn so much. See, I spent time with my brother Alan a lot. I see Alan more than with Elliot, which is true. So maybe I'll keep all that to myself about the Glenn stuff, because he doesn't get to see his brother that much. Only on certain holidays. He only sees him on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Only every other Thanksgiving, but not every single Thanksgiving. The same thing that goes with me too. I'm not going to see my brother Elliot and Nina this year for Thanksgiving, because they're going all the way to Philadelphia for Thanksgiving this year. They're going all the way to Philadelphia to see my sister's cousin. This year. They won't be able to make it for my birthday this year, for Christmas, because they're gonna go see their grandparents this year for Christmas. That's why. So it does work both ways. It does. I think my mother has a point. It does work both ways. He doesn't get to see his sister that much on Christmas. He doesn't get to see his sister only 4th of July and during the summer and Christmas only. So I should not complain when he spends more time with Glenn and Denise. I got 2 brothers and I don't get to see them that much either. So it does work both ways. It's true. The only time I spend with the only time I see is my brother Alan mostly, than Elliot. Because his apartment is not as close from my house. It's about 5 minutes away from my house to his house. So he lives on Baywood. He only comes over for a couple of hours to get his mail, and then he goes home. Then he comes over to drop off Simba, and then he goes home. He only comes to visit. That's what Glenn does with Matthew and Maddie. The same thing. He doesn't get, and I know Matthew doesn't get to see Denise and Angelo. Only 4th of July and Christmas. And 4th of July, summer, and Christmas. So I should not complain about that. So I'm going to keep all that to myself. Some of you went about Matthew's family business. I should worry about my own family business. That's true. So some of you worry about Matthew. I should be worrying about myself. Maybe that's why my parents aren't getting in the middle of it, because I worry about Matthew's habits more than I worry about my own habits. It's true. But if I don't get to see Nina and Elliot on Christmas, I can always see them in New Year's. So it's no big deal about that. So I should not make a big deal because Matthew doesn't see a Glenn for Thanksgiving and his birthday. So I should not worry about it. So that means I should mind my own business with that. Well, what he does with his brother Glenn is none of my business. That's true. If he wants to spend time with Glenn, just let him spend time with Glenn. Instead of me bossing him around so much about it. I think my mother's right. If he wants to spend time with Glenn, just let him spend time with him. There's no reason for me to be mean with Matthew. That's because he's spending time with him. He's spending time with Glenn because that's his brother. And he's also part family. I don't want to tell him what to do with that. See, I don't like it when he tells me what to do, but I should not tell him what to do either. I shouldn't be worrying about Matthew. I should be worrying about myself. I don't want to ruin my love life with Matthew because of me being jealous. Nothing to get jealous about. So that's what's not good for my relationship. By getting jealous and getting upset and getting mad. I'm going to work on that this week by not getting upset. Getting mad over the phone calls is not the issue. So I'm going to work on that by not getting mad over everything. Maybe that's why Matthew's in my business a lot. Because I get mad quite a lot. The way I'm acting, that's why Matthew is not returning my calls. Why he's not answering my calls, because the way I'm acting, and it's about my behavior and my behavior skills. That's why he doesn't want to talk to me on the phone. Because of that, and because I'm bugging him with the phone calls. Well, I've been calling him too much. Well, I think that's part of it. That is part of it. Well, yeah, that's true. I've been calling him too much. I'm calling him every hour on the hour when he's trying to do his house chores and helping his mother out. That's why I have to be patient. The most important that he needs to help his mother out hand and foot because her back problems. Maddie has to do all the work because of her loss of her husband. She needs extra help with Matthew because he has bigger muscles than Maddie does. She's weak and fragile. She doesn't have enough muscles like my boyfriend does. That's why Maddie's putting him into a lot of work 24/7. So I shouldn't get mad over a house chore. So it's not Maddie's fault. I'm the one's making it into an issue. I'm the one's making a big deal over it. I'm the one's making it into a problem. So I shouldn't. But I shouldn't boss my boyfriend around it because he's helping Maddie out. That's true. And I think I'm blaming Maddie. That's what's stressing Matthew out right now. Because I'm blaming Maddie for everything. So one about my mother. So that's what's bugging Matthew. I think that's what it is. Because I'm blaming Maddie mostly on my mother. And I know it's not fair to Matthew. And it isn't fair to him. So maybe I should give Matthew a break with that. At least give him a chance with it. I'm blaming this on Maddie, mostly one about myself. That's true. That's accusing her. I don't want to do that with Maddie. I know she's still mad at me about the naked pictures. She has the right to. But still, there's no need for me to get mad at Maddie for it. Even though she's just trying to look out after me. Even though she's just trying to help. I should have thought about that before my mother told her about it. Instead of blame Maddie for everything that she didn't do. She was just trying to help. I can't believe I blamed it on Maddie. I shouldn't have. This whole thing was my fault from the start. I shouldn't have gave those naked pictures to Matthew at all. Next time I should have kept my naked pictures to myself, and I should have kept them private. If I hadn't done that first, I wouldn't have got in trouble with Maddie at all. Maddie was right the first time. She was telling the whole truth. Well, it wasn't exactly Maddie's fault. It was my mother's fault. It was my mother who complained to her about that. So it wasn't Maddie. It was my mother this whole time. That's why. My mother is the one that called her up and told her. So I shouldn't have taken out on Maddie for it. I shouldn't. So that's why that's what Matthew's worried about. I'm blaming Maddie instead of my mother. Well, maybe I think my boyfriend's right. I think I'm being unreasonable. I should be blaming my mother for all this, not Maddie. If I haven't me and Matthew wouldn't give each other naked pictures. We wouldn't have lost our FaceTime at all. I did it to myself. I ruined it for Matthew, and I did. But next time Matthew should apologize to my mother for it, and he should. Mostly it wasn't exactly, said Matthew blamed it on me. He said on himself. And I told him not to take it out on me for any of it. First of all, it wasn't my fault. It was his fault. I was the one that I didn't mean to get him in trouble for it. I wasn't going to. It was actually Matthew's idea. It was his fault. And he started this whole thing. He's the one that caused a lot of drama on FaceTime because of him snoring. Taking naps on FaceTime. Even I told him you can't do that on FaceTime. When you take naps first. When you take naps you do that privately. If he wants to take naps, he needs to turn off the FaceTime. I told him that more than twice not to do that, and he did anyway. That's why my mother made a big deal about it. He snores too loud. And I was making a big deal out of it because I didn't want to hear all that kind of stuff on FaceTime. That's why I made it into an issue. That's why I came to my mother instead of going to Matthew for all this. He's the one that lied to his mother. He was hiding it from her when she was out of town. For 3 days, for 3 days when she was out of town. I called him on FaceTime and I'm not supposed to be on it. He didn't listen to me, and he didn't. He got his way over that. I told him specifically to turn off the FaceTime, and he didn't listen to me with it. He made it into an argument. That's when Matt was out of town for 3 days, and I called him on FaceTime. I told him to turn it off. So he yelled at me over it, even though I was just trying to help. My mother made a big deal with the camera because he didn't know how to angle it right. Maybe he didn't know how to control the camera. My mother would have made a big deal about it in the first place. That way my mother wouldn't have called Maddie about it. Maybe he hadn't kept all my naked pictures. Maybe he could still have his FaceTime. But he's the one that blew it. So he took it out on me. Said himself. He accused me of that. He plotted Maddie against me. That's why I haven't been nice to Matthew. That's why. When he hadn't lied to Maddie in the first place, I want to give him a chance. He was hiding it from Maddie, especially behind her back. That's why I blamed it on Maddie instead of my mother. I didn't mean to blame it on her. And next time I shouldn't have blamed it on my mother. Lucky I didn't tell my father about that. I think I didn't. But first of all, why would he keep things a secret from Maddie for? Because he didn't want to go by the rules? Or because he didn't want to go by instructions? That's how he got his FaceTime taken away. That's why. He's keeping my naked pictures, even though he should erase them. And he didn't want to. He's hiding the naked pictures from his mother. He shouldn't be doing that. And Maddie was right at first. Because if he hadn't just erased my naked pictures, he wouldn't have got his FaceTime taken away. Yeah, he deserved it. And he has to pay the price. He has to suffer the consequences. So now he's going to have to learn how to deal with it. And so do I. He got himself in trouble. I didn't do it. He did it to himself. And yesterday, and the day before yesterday, he actually hurt my feelings. He made me cry. That's why I told him, it's not nice to lie to your girlfriend. I'm his girlfriend. You shouldn't have lied to me about the FaceTime. He lied to his mother for like 2 months since he lied to his mother. And then he's been lying to me too about the FaceTime. I didn't know you're not supposed to be on FaceTime. But Matthew should have told me. And he didn't. He went to the last minute to tell me. I told him specifically nicely not to go on FaceTime. And he did anyway. He got his way. He made it into an issue with the FaceTime app. Get into fights on FaceTime, bossing each other around and telling each other what to do. That's not how it works on FaceTime. Get involved with other people's habits. Get into each other's eating habits. And it's not the option. You don't worry about each other's eating habits. That's not what FaceTime is for. Maddie didn't want to hear all that kind of stuff. She made it into a complaint to my mother. Why I text her at 2 o'clock in the morning? I didn't know she was asleep. I didn't know she was asleep at that hour. I didn't know. So that made me into an argument. She's worried about Matthew, even though she should be worried about herself. And then Maddie worries about Matthew's habits. She should worry about her own habits. And I know that Maddie is a mother. And I know she is a mother. But bossing Matthew around is not the answer. I think Maddie's pushing it too hard on Matthew. I think so. Well, I really want for Maddie to leave Matthew alone about it. That's all I'm asking. Because Maddie doesn't know how to leave things alone. That's why I called her a tattletale. That's why I did. She also went behind my back and texted my mother about that. She went too far with that. But texting my mother about it and calling her up. I got my cell phone taken away because of Maddie. She actually raised up her voice at me because I bought him when he was trying to do his house chores. I didn't know he was helping her out. I didn't know. But by helping her with the heavy boxes in the garage. The three main important jobs is the garage, the gardening, and washing the car. Matthew is not her maid. Matthew is not her maid. Or her coat hanger. Or her doormat. Well, and yes, I'm getting to Maddie's business. You know, and why I'm always in her business. It's because why am I making a big deal about her exercise classes? You know why I'm getting involved with that? Because Matthew's telling me. Matthew wouldn't have told me. I wouldn't say anything about that. And about her girls' night out. When she comes home, late on the girls' night out by coming home around 8 o'clock or 8:30 at night. Even though that's too late to come home. That's why in her business. That's why I'm getting into her business. How about when she goes to church every Sundays? How I knew about her girls' night out in her church. I know about the girls' night out and why she goes to church on Sundays. Because Matthew is the one bringing it up. Matthew is bringing it up too much. He's the one who's telling me about it. That's how I know about her business. Matthew doesn't want me in her business, then keep it in private.